Branching off of what I spoke about yesterday in terms of this idea that doing Let's Plays or voicing over a video that you create kind of lends itself, or at least I believe, lends itself towards building a more robust mental muscle when it comes to socializing in real-world public environments, in more dynamic situations. I think another key element of that, not only in Let's Plays, but also in real situations, is living a life, living an interesting life. But on that note, what an interesting life could mean to you. Because depending on your perspective, an interesting life could be something as overblown as something you might line up with someone who has celebrity status, who has quite a bit of fame, quite a bit of prestige, and whether it's through media outlets or Instagram or YouTube videos, portrays a life that is so enchanting but almost out of reach that links up with what you consider to be an interesting life. But by the same token, an interesting life to you could be something as simple as going to a small coffee shop and wherever you live, getting something off of the menu you've never had before, and then sitting down with a good friend and having a 2-hour-long conversation that mostly consists of topics like Lego, the most recent movie you had, and, I don't know, ripping apart the latest Disney movie just because you're just like, man, do you remember back when we were kids? Yeah, we used to deal with talking animals and trees that gave advice to Native Americans, and now look at what they got going on. I know, talking cars. It's wild. How far things have come, that kind of thing. It's all about perspective in that sense, but let's just go with the idea of living a life and how that links up with giving you something more to talk about. On the one hand, it makes things a lot more personal. And on the other hand, the things that you experience out in the real world really have an effect on you whether you know it or not. Something as simple, and this is going to sound silly, but follow me on this. Something as simple as walking down the street and passing people is enough to affect your life. Maybe not in a huge, meaningful way, but in very small, subtle ways. I guess if you want to look at it in terms of what would it be? Astrophysics? No, it's not astrophysics. Theoretical? I don't know. Maybe this is more philosophical. I really have to go through some of these terms so that I've got a better grip on what I'm talking about here. But the basic idea is that, you've got somebody who's occupying a space. They physically occupy a space. And in proximity to you, you can't occupy the same space that they do. They would have to move. And in doing that, you kind of affect each other. So by passing each other, you're affecting each other. I mean, not physically, hopefully, and certainly not directly, because you may not even exchange eye contact. You could just be looking straight ahead. They're looking straight ahead. You pass each other. Bam, they're gone. And maybe the most you note about them is that their coat's a particularly interesting shade of red and they were wearing a scarf. But it has this weird kind of domino effect in a very microscopic, subtle, subliminal way, where that interaction, as non-direct as it is, can have an effect on your thinking and jog your memory towards an idea without you even realizing it. It's like a sequence of events that you can't really see, but when they all come together, lead to a point that could have a major effect on your life or on your day in a more small way. Life is hopefully quite long and has a hell of a lot of parts to it, so maybe that's getting a bit too philosophical, but I think you understand where I'm coming from here. Living a life, going out, experiencing the world around you, lends itself towards different thoughts, different ideas. You could have some real epiphanies just walking downtown and window shopping. Something as simple as that could just be the right combination of colors, smells, sights, sounds, temperature, light, architecture, all those things culminating in whatever's going on in your head, right at the forefront of your mind and in your subconscious. And who knows, it may not even hit you in the moment. All those elements might just come together in this weird psychological cocktail that only creates something worthwhile once you go to sleep and have some time to just rest on it. And, I mean, the perfect example of that is this video right here. The idea for talking about this and hopefully coherently getting my idea across came to me when I was going for a run. I run every single day, about 3.5 to 4 kilometers. Try to keep it to a minimum because that's the kind of exercise regimen I follow. Minimum's not the right idea. I'm keeping it to a calculated amount because that is exactly what I'm trying to achieve for my own personal physical health. But going on that run does a couple of things. Obviously, good for the body, good for the heart, also good for the mind, because running, I don't want to say is a mindless exercise, but once you've done it enough, physically, you know what you're doing. You know what you need to focus on. You know what you need to tighten in terms of muscles. You know how to move. You know how it should feel and how it shouldn't feel, which is also equally important, but it's kind of straying from the point. Basically, once you've gotten into this rhythm, or at a point where I'm at, you're kind of going on autopilot in terms of how your body moves. The nice thing about that is it frees up your mind to literally go anywhere. I guess in a way you could kind of look at it like meditating in motion. Your body's doing all of the forward momentum. It leaves your mind free to literally wander. And that's exactly what I do. I just detach. I'm aware of my surroundings enough that I'm going to notice if a car or a bike or a person or an animal's coming at me. But it allows me to kind of just go, and whatever thought path my mind decides to wander down, I am just a passenger. I'm not in the driver's seat at all. And this thought came to me that it's kind of interesting. Like, this thought, this idea, this topic that I'm talking to you about now, it may never have come up if I didn't go for that run. The right combination of things and just the act of running and letting my mind wander led me to this point. And I may not have gotten there. I mean, interesting thing about how I do these videos, I think, maybe you do too, is I have a huge list. And whenever I've got some ideas, I will jot them down. And each day when I go to record one of these, I'll look at them. One, to do my best to make sure I'm not talking over a point that I've already posted, but also just to see, okay, so this is something that I'm thinking about talking about. Is today the right day to do that? You know what? Yes, it is. And that's what I'll go with. And I keep a checklist of these things because different ideas will pop up at different times. And sometimes I'll go, wow, yeah, that's a really good one. But I don't think I have it all together upstairs in my head to talk about it yet. But I'm going to put that down because one of these days I'm going to look at this list and I'm going to go, yep, it's time to talk about number 48 or number 56 or number 105. It is a very, very, very long list and it grows every single day. But again, a lot of those ideas may not have come about if I hadn't gone out and done different things. And again, it doesn't have to be something as complicated or, depending on your personality and how you are, as wild or maybe slightly uncomfortable as going out to big public functions, going out to a bar or a club or maybe a concert or things like that. It's very subjective. It's very much based on who you are, what you enjoy doing, and what you consider to be interesting. But whether it's something absolutely off the wall crazy or something simple, again, it's subjective. Either way, guaranteed if you do, you're going to get something out of it. Even if all you do is go to a coffee shop, get an iced coffee with absolutely nothing in it except the ice and the coffee, no sweetener, no milk. Sit down with a friend of yours and end up having a conversation that goes on way, way, way too long about the history of professional wrestling when you actually wanted to meet up to talk to them about possibly, moving into a different career track. But you know what? The conversation never got there. You're going to get something out of that. And then when you move on later to, hopefully, do a Let's Play video, or maybe just do your own kind of video. Maybe you're recording over something that you've already done in terms of the narrative, or maybe you're doing your own vlog, or maybe it's something not even related to YouTube at all. Going out and doing something always lends some interesting ideas for you to work with, and at the very least, opens up and entertains the opportunity and the possibility for something brand new to happen to you in a very real, personal, direct, and physical way, or jog your mind to helping you figure a few things out that you didn't even know you were thinking about in the first place. I realized this one kind of was teetering on the knife's edge of being a thoughts of gaming, or thoughts on gaming rather, but I think it's a good aside to what I spoke about yesterday. And at least in terms of creative fuel, if you find at times you might be struggling to come up with something to say or to do your best in your own personal view of delivering an interesting Let's Play. This can be one method, one exercise, one idea that might help you along. I can certainly say from my own personal experience that exercise and definitely running is a great way to de-stress and, again, to kind of detach and just let your mind wander. Do with that what you will. And of course, I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say on this. If you've got your own little tips and tricks, if you agree or disagree, or if you'd like to quantify on that, extrapolate, expand, what have you. In any case, my name's Rye. You guys take care of yourselves.